There, we're looking here.
That's the camera. That's...
Good afternoon, Chicago, and welcome to another edition with On the Scene with DL. I am DL, and joining me in the studio today, we have, wait a minute, let me look twice, the lovely Stephanie Bay to my immediate right. Stephanie Bay. Bonzala's in the building with us as well, Chicago, and you know what? A surprise guest has popped in and snuck in on us today, and I think her name is Lynn Miller from 50 Shades of Business, 50 Shades of Resources, 50 just the woman of time.
Resources is in the house.
I represent, Lynn, represent. Right. So first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to iHeartRadio, Intellectual Radio. I got some great sponsors, Chicago. We got My Chocolate sold at 4442 North Broadway. Some of the best chocolates in the city of Chicago. And ladies, we got chocolate covered strawberries and chocolates on the table. Join us. Wait. This is my buddy right here. She's like, I don't need you to go ahead. I'm just going to dig in. And I like that. I like that about this lovely young lady. We've got G Clothing LLC. We got Fashion Life Chicago. And like I said, we got some great guests in the studio today. Some great things to talk about. So I'm going to throw the football out to the lovely Lynn Miller. And Lynn, tell us what's going on in your nowadays, Lynn. Talk to us.
Holy cow. I've been studying everything about entrepreneurship and growing companies.
So tell us about entrepreneurship, because when I grow up, if I ever grow up, I want to be an entrepreneur. So talk to me about that.
Well, there's a lot going on in Chicago. And there's a lot going on everywhere in the world. The biggest issue here is that the left hand doesn't always know what the right hand's doing in Chicago. It's a little more cohesive everywhere else.
Let me look at my hands.
So for fun this weekend, I just looked at a huge study that was done around the world with 10,000 entrepreneurs to find out what is it that makes Chicago work and where are the opportunities.
So, all right, Vanzala. What makes Chicago work? I mean, tell us a little bit about you. First of all, look at that amazing smile, Chicago. I told you I got 3 beautiful women in the studio with me today, and I'm really excited. So, Vanzala, tell me a little bit about you, what you do, who you are, and some of those cool stuff, and how you maintain that beautiful smile.
Well, I consider myself to be the event architect of Chicago.
Uh-oh.
That's right. And I just feel like the world is getting to be smaller and smaller, and the influences that are around us are you cannot be isolated anymore. The global influences are so profound right now that they influence our food, they influence our jewelry, they influence our clothing, and they also influence our events. And I think we are the architects that bring those global influences to your events, whether they are corporate, whether they are weddings, whether they are celebrations, whatever it might be. You cannot ignore what's happening around you in the world.
I understand.
That's what we do.
So who? You know what? I kind of got lost there. Who's we? Define we.
My company, Vichili. I run an event management company.
Okay.
And what we do is events.
How long you been doing that?
A little over a decade.
Wow, before I was born.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So I gotta talk to Stephanie a little bit. And
I'm so fascinated by what she does.
So share your fascination and share about who you are and what you do, young lady.
Well, you kindly mentioned jewelry because we just met, but I mentioned the J word to you right off the bat. Yep. And that is what I'm doing currently. I've done a lot of different things. Some would say, oh, she's just a dilettante. Others would say she's an entrepreneur. I actually taught entrepreneurship to college students.
Where'd you teach that, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I don't. I taught at the Illinois Institute of Art. And and entrepreneurship, Lynn was talking about how Chicago is a burgeoning place. There are a lot of people that want to become entrepreneurs. And what does it take to really be one? That's the question. And I think
a URL.
Today, that's right. But what about, what kind of a personality? I always think that it's someone that likes to take risks, but not be crazy about it, and not to make any kind of rash decisions, but people who are moderate risk takers, I would say. Do you agree?
It takes people who have a passion for something and just can't stop doing something about it. Is really what I mean. Passion is definitely the foundational piece, and then they have to see that there's something that is missing where they could make a difference. Really, kind of close a gap.
So it's about opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things that I did was I owned a few stores in the 1980s and 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and although the that I sold was not particularly my style, I saw that there was a need for something like what I sold.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, less of a passion than just, saying, wow, that's something that people would want. I may not be one of those people, but the world cannot live by my taste alone. They should, but they don't.
So when you talk about passion, you mentioned that, some of the garments and things that you were selling or with your clothing store weren't your style. How would you define your style?
Oh dear. Well, very eclectic.
That's a big word.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
for me, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'll spell it for you later. But for now, I mean, eclectic is definitely my look. I mean, my look is my own look. I don't know, however I put it together. It's not as Lynn would wear it, or not what you would wear necessarily, but I don't know. Just probably from being older and having gone through so many trends and styles and everything, I've kind of.
But it's all coming back.
It's secular. It's always secular, right?
Everything comes.
It's
That's
all
another
coming
big
back.
word. That's a school word. I'm sorry. Secular. I mean,
It is a cycle, definitely. But now their fashion cycles are repeating themselves so quickly that it's
Absolutely.
just absurd. I mean, it used to be like, every 25 years you'd see something come back. Now it's about every 25 minutes. I think that things just come back.
So what are you working on right now with your event company right now? You told me you spoke with passion, and you sound very convinced about this. So tell me what's on the horizon for you guys. What are you guys doing up? What do you guys got coming up?
We are doing a lot of things. Passion and creativity go hand in hand. If you're creative and passionate, you can do a lot of things. We are in every space that is you can talk about. We are in the fashion space, we are in the event space, we are in the food space. We are actually partnering up. We just partnered up with a catering company where we are doing global cocktails.
Oh,
So our events are going to soon be showcasing global inspired cocktails, and they have a history to them. It's not just another gin and tonic, but the gin and tonic that was there at the British
Bombay
Raj
vodka.
time.
There you go.
So there's stories to these drinks. So there's always interesting things we are doing. So we are not the traditional event planners. So we do all the traditional things. We do production, we do decor, we do the planning, but we also do the consulting, and we do the food and the trends.
Wow.
Just like you do the trends in jewelry, we do trends in events.
I love it. Hey, Lynn. So I'm going to ask Lynn.
She got my mind going.
She got your mind going?
Yeah.
So Lynn.
Yeah.
What did you just hear from this young lady?
Yeah. So the most important thing I heard was partnership with other companies. And so I started with a company called Growth Stage Tech. And we very quickly figured out that the last thing Chicago needs is another member-driven organization. So we said, why don't we just make sure that all the entrepreneurs know where to go based on whatever they need. And so we're partnering with Forward Collective, and we're partnering with some other organizations to, like BWise, Black Women in Science and Engineering, to make sure that
they've got an event coming up too, don't they?
They do. Make sure that based on whatever it is that matters to each individual, that they're going to the right place. But what we care about are women and diversity.
I totally agree with you. Even in events, Chicago is where Europe, or Chicago is right now where Europe was maybe 20, 25 years ago. There is still...
Is that a good thing or is it a bad thing?
Well, it's getting to be a good thing because diversity is getting to be more mainstream.
I love
I
it.
talk about the food space, the event space. We do a lot of Bollywood. We were the first ones to bring Bollywood-inspired events to the mainstream.
Sure.
I don't know if you remember, we did the gala at the Stan Mansion.
Absolutely.
We had Art Smith and everybody. We were just talking about that, and nobody else had done it in Chicago before. So we are at the brink of this. We are in the right time, I guess, right
You're
now.
at the cusp.
We are at the cusp of this great, I guess,
Wave
coming.
Yeah. Mhm.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So I was talking to some folks, and somebody just sent me an email. How ironic is this? Like maybe 20 minutes before we got here, they're interested in doing a pop-up. How about that? A pop-up fashion show in 2 weeks with the Met. The Met's talking about doing a pop-up show. I mentioned you guys. I told you. I mentioned you guys. How you doing? And they're looking to do a pop-up show, and they're looking for people to be a part of the show, help
Really?
create the show. It's a lot of cool stuff.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I'm thinking, and it's gonna be women driven. I'm thinking if I can find 3 women.
Let's
Let
put
me-
our glasses on.
Let's see if
Where
I
are your
can.
glasses? I don't see them.
Crystal ball.
Let me see if I can get an event coordinator, a jewelry person that's very fashionable, and somebody else who just does every darn thing. Let me think about that, Chicago. What do you guys think? So what do you guys think about that in pop-up shops and things of that nature? And, being a part of something like that. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I love the idea of pop-up shops. They're not new at all, but maybe newer to Chicago.
Europe and all throughout the New York area. But
Right.
yeah,
New York, I mean, they've been doing a lot of them
Sure.
for a long time. In case people don't even know what pop-up stores are.
what is a pop-up store?
Well, Ray Kawakubo, the famous designer for Comme des Garçons, she was the first one to do pop-up stores. And what she would do is just like take an empty space, maybe a drugstore or something, not even take the old signage down, just move racks of clothing.
Make it rustic and just raw.
Yeah, really. And just come and then announce that she was going to be there for so many days. And it was such a great success. People in the know would hear that she was going to be there. And the thing is that everybody has to be in the know when you're doing pop-up stores because you want they're just for a small amount of time, which I think is very appealing to a lot of people because who wants the same old, same old? So pop-up stores are all about newness. Newness is the most important thing in life today. Nobody wants what was here yesterday. So, I think it's a great idea. So you go into a space, you're there for just a small amount of time, maybe 5 days, maybe 2 weeks, and then move on. And everybody knows that if they want to get that special something, they have to come at that time.
And you said Met is doing it.
That is correct.
So
Museum.
Met does this very interesting gala every year.
That's the gala I'm talking about. I got an email about it
which
today.
is very global, which is very
Yes.
chic. And
They got me involved.
no, but what I'm
Keep
saying
going.
is that was what was missing in Chicago. The Art Institute did a mini version of that for the last, 3-4 years. We used to do the Dolly Gala. People would dress up in costumes and come in and celebrate the new year. I think it's a great, great opportunity to do that here in Chicago and
Okay.
bring people from everywhere here.
What do you think, Miss Miller?
I think you know all the right people to bring.
I can see the wheels kind of turning
Yeah,
over there. and
absolutely.
that kind of cool stuff. So with this event coming up, I remember, if memory serves me correctly, Miss Bay.
Yes, sir.
She said, "Sir, I'm a little nervous now." There was an event you did about a couple of weeks ago, if memory serves me correctly, like a trunk show, right?
That was a small thing, and of course the weather was so ghastly, but nevertheless people did come out, so that was terrific. It was at Jackson Joan Gallery, which is in Wicker Park on Milwaukee, about 1300 North, and it's a fabulous space, and they represent all sorts of talented artists, painters, sculptors like that, and jewelers as well. And they invited me to come for a couple of days, and it was terrific because I love when all kinds of art are together in the same space. It was very nice, very enjoyable. And I'm going to go back again in June. Yes, I am. June 23rd. I'm going to be back again in that gallery.
We have another guest.
We have another guest, Chicago. We're going to take a station break. Hey, Earl, can we take a quick cue? And we'll be right back on my on the scene with DL, sponsored by My Chocolate Soul. Thanks, Chicago. Back on the scene with DL, sponsored by My Chocolate Soul and G-Line Clothing and Fashion Line Chicago. Much respect to iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio joining us in the studio today. Uh-oh. Hold on for a second. She came already with it with the hey, hey, hey. Joining us in the studio is the lovely Michael Donnelly. She's the CEO and founder of Ford. And I'm going to throw the mic to Michael and let her tell us a little bit about who she is and what she does and the impact she has on Chicago so far. How about that?
Trying to. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone here in the studio with me. I'm Michael Donnelly, as DL said, founder of Forward Collective, FWD for Women in Diversity. So we are dedicated to professional inclusion. We host summits internationally. We started here in Chicago back in September of 2016, and we've now expanded out to San Francisco, and we'll be in Detroit and DC this year as well.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
Cool beans. So we were just talking. We're gonna play catch up a little bit. She's just, got here a little bit after a couple of us. But the reality is, we were talking about diversity and entrepreneurship here in Chicago, and why is that important? And what makes that important? Why is that important for diversity and entrepreneurship in Chicago? Who wants to take a stab at that first?
Everyone's looking at me because I just got here, so I can jump in. Diversity and entrepreneurship in Chicago and beyond is incredibly important because the more voices we have in the room, the more power comes from the decisions that we make because it's more representative of the actual world around us. So without having all different types of people to be part of the conversation, we end up with some of the ad type of disasters or marketing disasters we've seen over the past year, but also we end up excluding people. And at the end of the day, we want our messages to get out to as many ears as we can. So in order to do that, we need to make sure that we're including them in the conversations and you're in the room, as they say in Hamilton, in the room where it happens.
I like it. Do you want to take a stab at that as well, Lynn? Do you have anything you'd like to add to that? Or?
Yeah, I can't help that I'm a research geek, but the thing that got this really moving for me was the day that I saw a report from McKinsey that said if every female entrepreneur achieved their potential and had at least one full-time employee, we would add about $14 trillion to the economy.
Oh, wow.
That got my attention. It hasn't stopped.
You just got my attention.
I know.
Because I know us men, we talk a good game, but women actually do a good game. And that's why some of the things that I've done in the past, whereas I've shifted, well, I won't say I've shifted my primary focus. I'm a guy's guy, but I'm a mama's boy. Yeah. Help me understand that one. Like, one of those kind of things. And it's like, I've looked at things. I've had some older sisters and a couple older brothers and all that other cool stuff. And my older sisters, they just kind of pick on me, but they used to dress me up like a little Ken doll. I don't use that word Ken, but when I got old enough that I can make fun of them back or do something to them, I'm like, can't hit girls. I'm like, hold on. So I've been My fingernails have been painted. My toes been painted. I got makeup all on.
I think my little brother would really understand.
Wait. So you get it. So you get it.
Mom, why do we live on a block where there's only girls? Can't I just have some guys in my life?
But yeah, and that's cool. And what I'm getting at here is I've shifted, and I'm like, the shift of on the scene with Scene Chicago, on the scene with Scene Chicago has shifted. And the paradigm a bit to whereas we're focusing on women and women entrepreneurship and women in diversity. I've gotten some Darlene Hill folk, and you talked about Be Wise. I've gotten a lot of cool folks to get behind us. Please help me understand, Vangela, why are women so prevalent and prominent and so efficient in business?
Women are efficient in general.
Right. Okay, I got you. Did I get myself in trouble?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I like that.
Not yet. Oh, but keep going. So you're.
Well, you know what? I think it's not about just about the mind, but it's also about the heart. And as women, we are nurturers. So we definitely think with the heart, but we also think with the mind. And when the two combination are together, I think it's a powerful combination, and that's why we're so successful when we put our mind to it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I got to come to you, Miss Bay.
Well, I'm not always as positive as these youngins here. I have to tell you that I think a lot of the reason there's so many women entrepreneurs is because they can only go to a certain extent in business. Men are less likely to be entrepreneurs. Actually, there are far more women entrepreneurs because they are restricted. And so to really do all they can do, they have to start their own business. And I really experienced that many times myself. One time in particular, I can remember, is this phone call? No, I should continue. Okay. Well, one time in particular, I was a teacher in my early days at Highland Park High School. And Highland
Park, Indiana?
Really?
Highland
Seriously?
Park, Illinois.
Oh my gosh.
See, she's a fascinating lady. You let her talk. You're going to learn a whole lot from this young lady. Because I know I have. But keep going.
No, it's really very simply, I wanted to do more than just teach. So when there was an opportunity to become the disciplinary dean, I wanted to be the disciplinary dean. Me and four male coaches.
Wait. Now, you said you and 4 male coaches.
Right. We're up.
So you're wrapping the knuckles of the students.
Something like, yeah. Well, a little more than that. But yeah. And every time I was interviewed, the male interviewers said, why would you want to do this? And what if some big guy came up to you in the lunchroom and started to intimidate you? And what would you do? And, it was such a ridiculous line of questioning that I could. So anyway, Coach, we won't say who, but he did get to be the disciplinary dean. And I left the school and did something else because I could see I wasn't going to get anywhere there. I was going to be a teacher forever, and that was going to be it. So I think a lot of women run into this a lot.
To your point, exactly. I shared this with Lynn the other day. I was at an event. It was a conference, and somebody came up to the client and said, "Who's your management company?" And they said, "Oh, talk to her." And he came up to me and he said, "Oh, so you just did this, and so who's really doing the event?" Can I talk to your boss? And I said, "You're talking to her." He said, "You did production too?" And I said, "Yes."
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's good.
Absolutely.
I would wholeheartedly agree. I didn't mean to start a company when I did. My full-time job outside of Forward was born out of creating events for others, was event management and consulting and experience design. And after I left a company and looked around and saw what was offered to me and what opportunities I had with the level of experience that was perceived, it was like, wait a second, I could do this a lot better on my own.
Yes.
What's this level perceived? Define it.
Well, account executive, senior account executive, the number of years. I think that Christy Ross of Tasty Trade shared an article with me about the confidence gap in applications that you see between, and women are much more conservative about their skills and experience when men are much more bold to bolster the years that they've done certain things. So it ends up creating a gap in the applications and the quality of applicants and what goes on there. And I definitely found that to be true to myself. I wouldn't say that applies to all men and women. Of course, everybody's an individual. But at the end of the day, I had clients coming to me and saying, hey, we want to work with you, versus the jobs that I was eligible to apply for were a much lower level than I had already kind of exited.
Eligible to apply for. I like the way you did the quotes, the air quotes. I like that.
You know, the big story of last week actually was about women still being paid 80% of what men are paid, and that there is an entrepreneur. There's a CEO actually who's making it his job to talk to other CEOs to explain to them why this is kind of dumb to still be paying women less than you're paying men. And he says that when he calls them, a lot of them just won't even talk to him. Just look, that's the way it is, pal. And that's, but others he has been able to.
Here we come a change.
Yeah, right.
That wouldn't have anything to do with I'm not going to bring up Trump. But would that have anything to do with the Trump effect?
I'm not going to bring him up. Hold on.
See, hold on for a second. I just know.
Well, I started getting warmer.
Don't get me started.
I'm trying. That's why you're not.
That could be a black hole conversation where we just keep going around and around.
Spiral downwards.
I get you. I got nothing against the current administration. I think he's an amazing man. Just not an amazing fit for president.
Someone got into big trouble the other day. Oh, it was Shania Twain. Yes. She said that she probably would have voted for Mr. Trump if she were an American. I believe she's from Britain, right? And she has gotten such backlash for that. So I'm going to protect you. Take it back now. Take back what you just said.
Yes, mother.
Okay. Because I'm worried there's going to be backlash. Okay.
I'm just worried we're going to lose our focus on our conversation.
I apologize. So thank you. See, I'm the guy. I'm all over the place. These women are cracking a whip. Kind of like my mom did. My mom was an educator. I don't know. We talked about that. My mom, I as a boy, me and my brothers and sisters, I know it's probably hard for some of you guys to believe. I kind of got in a little trouble with teachers and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally hard to believe.
I can't imagine.
And I'm like, just send me home. Don't send me to the principal. Because I got to deal with the principal and my mother when she gets home. Right. So just send me home. I'm just going to take one butt whipping when I get home. And that's just that. You embarrass me in front of my friends, young man. I'm like, okay, one of those kind of things. But back to what Michael was saying about entrepreneurship. How can we help, get more diversity? Or how can we help get people more? Thank you, sir. How can we, what needs to be done? What do you think needs to be done in Chicago to ride that diversity train? And more importantly, then when I say diversity, that includes the LGBTQ community, that includes white, black, Asian, the whole nine, the whole spectrum, the whole broad spectrum, short, tall, fat, skinny, gay, whatever. I mean, all those kind of cool things. Tell me in your own words, what needs to be done and what can we do? And what can we do? And I'd like each of you guys to piggyback off that if you can.
Yeah, I guess I can jump in first because it kept looking like you were looking at me.
Well, I'm just looking in that direction. I mean, I'm sorry.
I guess we're all over here.
There you go. It's like
I think what we say with the Forward Collective is join the conversation, because the conversations that we've had over the past ever so many years have been based on who we know and the referral systems that are currently in place. So in order to change that narrative, we need to reach out to people that are different than us and invite them to join the conversation and be part of, from A to B, or A to Z, excuse me, and all the way in between. And in order to do that, we have to break down some of those, who do we know? And change that, who can I know or who do my friends know, and expand the networks that way. And that's how we originally started focusing on with Forward in the venture space. The investor gap of 3% of investment going to women and less than 1% to minorities. We were like, okay, well, let's introduce some entrepreneurs to some investors and just start the conversation. And then from there, we've grown into what we are today.
Yeah. Well, joining the conversation is the first step, but also action. Mm-hmm. is a very important step, because I think that a lot of conversation happens, and I can talk about the event scene. There is a deep need for diversity in the event scene in Chicago.
Where do I know it?
Yeah. And the conversations happen, but the follow-up to the conversations is a very important thing as well. It's having the conversation, and the follow-up to the conversation is the main thing for me. That's what I've experienced.
From a fashion perspective, young lady?
Well,
Or from a professor?
just I think more from an educator's perspective.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, my favorite course that I taught actually was called Global Marketing. And in my learning, because I'm always learning more, in order to teach better, I found that the more you know about people's cultures, and I don't mean that you have to go all over the world. There are many, many subcultures right here in the city. I mean, my gosh, just go from neighborhood to neighborhood. So I think that there should be more talk about culture and differences in a positive way. I think we just don't know enough about each other. And that's why I love what you're doing, because you're bringing attention to a particular population that is beautiful, and it has so much to offer that it was kind of on the outside, if you can say that.
Absolutely.
And now it's becoming
more mainstream.
Absolutely more mainstream. And I'm a big supporter, because part of my jewelry line is, of course, fabulous gems from Jaipur. So, and I love to travel, and I mean, that's what I base all my jewelry designs on, is different cultures.
And to break the mold and be more inclusive also leads to more conversations, because until you meet someone and you include them, the conversation is not going to happen as well. Right. So the inclusive-ness is another piece to it.
We could be sisters.
Okay. I'm going to ask you guys to hold for a second. I think we got somebody, and Earl's not in the studio. I don't know where I'm going to do this. He's not there. Okay.
Technology.
Technology.
I'll tell you.
So here we are. So Lynn, help me out here.
Connect the dots, for goodness sake.
How do you connect the dots?
Well, not everybody knows everything. Michael's dealing with her business.
What are you talking about?
Stephanie,
I know everything.
Okay.
What are you talking about? I know everything. I'm a man.
People, there is this. There we go. Analysts in the space. I come from technology. Analysts in the space. It's their job to know everything about everybody in a particular segment. So HR tech was my space. And one of the things that was interesting for me was that the companies, the organizations that were looking for doing research for technology were curious about what we thought. And then the vendors were concerned or interested in their competition. And then on top of that said, who can I partner with? Well, that's just a microcosm of Chicago. And so the opportunity for conversation actually creates so much opportunity for business, because connecting the dots between companies and natural partners is so much easier. And I just have to quote my father, because he used to say the whole is bigger than the sum of its parts, because that's what kind of kept ringing to me.
I like that. That. So I thought we had a caller on the mic that was dialing in, but I am going to speak about a red carpet event, if you guys don't mind me segueing over here for a second, that we're looking to do. So Daryl Kimbrough, if you're out there listening, can you give me a quick call in right now? Because I want you to explain it, because nobody can explain your movie better than you. All right, the phone line's open. So women entrepreneurs. I'm at a loss for words. I'm just at a loss for words.
Well, we don't do it alone. We can't do it alone. We need each other.
It's about our tribes.
It's our tribes. But we know what? We could do it without men, but it would be better if we didn't. And the truth of the matter is, we all have strengths. So why sacrifice anybody's strengths?
I like that idea, because, the way I see it here is that as opposed to being a jack of all trades and a master of none, I know where my strength lies, and I'm sure we all know where our respective strength lies. And if we can, and if we're confident enough as individuals and as people, and women more so than men, because men have this big old ego thing. I don't know why, but they just do. And the reality here is that if you're good at advertising, if you're good at connecting people, and if you're great at jewelry, and if you're great at throwing events, but the best people, I learned that, and she's gonna really get at me because I keep on making these references. As a kid, when I watched Ronald Reagan in the White House, he put the best people around him. Didn't think twice about whether or not he looked like an idiot or not. That was irrelevant. His thing was put the best people around me who got for the country and in the best interest of the people. And I kind of adopted that. Adopted that. College professor, which one is it? Adopted.
Well, you adapted to it, and you adopted the concept.
Thank you,
Spike.
Thank you so much. But the reality here is that I followed that model, and I'm just thinking, if we got a designer, an event coordinator, somebody playing we got the master networker down there, and we got somebody playing in the diversity space. That sounds like the making of a good event somewhere down the road, I think, between the four of yous, if you don't mind me using that word, the four of yous, and stuff like that. So I got a quick question. So what's coming up for Stephanie Bay in the near future?
Well, her company, Stephanie B, is going to be having Gems from Jaipur showing at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Ritz-Carlton. Yes. And if you go to her website, www.stephanieb.com, you will see all of the details and how you can be invited.
Because I'm hoping I can,
Absolutely.
I'd love to be there. What about you, Vangela? What's going on? What's coming up in the near future for you?
So there's a lot happening at V-Chili. Like I told you, we collaborated this year with another company, and we have the whole cocktail space coming up, launched. We are also crazy with the wedding season right now, because in Chicago there's a very specific wedding season. And then we would.
Are you trying to hint something? Are you trying to hint? I got to make my mind up now. No,
and then we jump into the gala season right after that.
Sure.
So we have all of those fun things happening. I have a few international events coming up, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
What about you, Michael?
Yeah, with Forward Collective, we actually last month launched our founding membership. So there's still available a few of them. There's only 50 spots to become a founding member on the website.
How do you become a founding member?
You sign up and apply online.
What do you need to? What do you need to be in order?
You need to be interested in joining the conversation around inclusion and excited to be a part of building what's next for that conversation. So it's really kind of engaging on that early stage part of the conversation while we build what needs to happen with our members. From there, we have our Work Forward event on June 12th at MHub. You can get tickets on the website, www.forward, FWD is how we spell forward, collective.io. And then our big summit here in Chicago is in September over at MHub too. I believe it's the 13th. Yes, September 13th. So there's a few other things launching in other cities in the meantime, but those are the real opportunities right now as we speak.
Cool beans. What about you, Lynn?
Collaboration is my middle name.
Lynn Collaboration Miller. Got it.
So what I'm doing is working on the collaborative opportunities between all the different organizations that are supporting women in diversity, and the partnership between corporate partners and entrepreneurs and investors. So Michael and I are working on the partnership with Forward Collective, and I'm working with BeWise as well as Women to Women. So which
Women to
Women, which covers the LGBTQ community. So we've got it all covered.
Well, I don't know about all of it, but we're
a lot of it.
Yeah, we're getting there.
A good portion of it covered.
Yeah.
I got you.
And we're excited for that.
So I'm going to try something different this weekend, Earl. If you don't mind, guys.
Okay.
We're going to try something different.
Yes.
We're gonna switch it and play Ask the Host.
Oh.
What do you guys think about that?
I like it.
Wait. I don't like her enthusiasm.
I
know Lynn's face lit up like a Christmas tree.
I love it.
I want to thank her for coming into the studio. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, I heard all these lovely things about all you lovely women and all the fascinating and amazing things and amazing contributions you're making in our society, not just as women, as people. That's more important than as women. And that to me, Stella, like I said, I'm a guy's guy, but I was a mama's boy. I'd sit in the kitchen and cook with my mother and do laundry. Don't you laugh? That's not funny.
It really does.
It's one of those kind of things now. And I'm caught up being a dad that, I'm up at 7 o'clock in the morning making breakfast and bag lunches and all those cool things. So I'm going to let the lovely Stephanie Bay have the first question. Uh-oh.
No. I think that I've been thinking, since you mentioned the Met coming to Chicago and doing
2 weeks.
Something.
2 weeks.
Wait, they're coming
2 weeks?
2 weeks?
No,
in 2 weeks?
no, in 2 weeks. I got to look at the...
Okay, never mind. Let's see what else.
What is the next event that you have that's coming up?
Okay, the next event that we have coming up. Well, at Scene Chicago, we don't necessarily do events.
Well,
we used to do events when I started
know,
this journey about 10 years ago, but I've come to find out that I can get more accomplished and more things done by passing the baton to other people to do events, and we just support them in a capacity in which they need to be supported.
Okay.
Those kind of things. So it's like from a market, we're looking at becoming a full-time media company for the most part. Like I said, we're not just in Chicago. We're in every major city across the country. We're throughout the world, Thailand, Philippines, different parts of Europe.
What about India?
Well, see.
Partnership, I feel it coming.
See. Well, I've been talking to Nick Patel.
Okay.
Nick, I'm sorry, Nick. I put it out there. Nick Patel, because when you mentioned Bollywood, Nick.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, there you go. Me, Nick Patel, and all of us. I've done Bollywood. I think it was out at. There was that place. It's not the Allstate Arena. What's that place out in?
Arena.
That's it. That's it. And we did some other stuff out there by the airport. There was another place. Rosemont. That's it.
He knows everything.
That's him. Guys, give me a second. We gotta give me one.
Oh, don't worry, I've got some good questions for you.
Well, I don't know.
Speaker.
Is it on?
Speaker.
Where's the microphone? Good afternoon, caller. Talk to me.
Hey, what's going on, DL? This is Daryl Kimbrough.
Daryl Kimbrough? Wait. The Daryl Kimbrough?
Yeah, Daryl Kimbrough.
My man, I got some more testosterone in the room. Thanks for calling. You might have saved me right there. So what's going on, man? Talk to me. What you got going?
Well, what we're doing right now is we're really promoting and pushing our red carpet screening of the movie Fortunate on the 26th of May. And we want to give away some VIP, 2 pair of VIP tickets to some of your callers and some of your guests.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, thank you. So tell me about this VIP screening of the movie Fortunate, and tell me some of the cast of characters and all that other cool stuff, the people that are in the movie. And when is this taking place on the 26th? Give me some times and tell me all the cool stuff that's going on with the VIP tickets and all that other cool stuff.
Well, the cool things that we're having is obviously with VIP, no waiting. There's a red carpet affair where the people who have VIP tickets will be able to walk the red carpet, have photo ops with the actors.
Oh, wow.
Including myself.
Wait, we get a chance to walk with you, DK?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Sign me up.
Sign me up, brother. I'm there. Keep going.
And, there's prime seating and there'll be cocktails and things. And then they're also able to attend the after party that we will be having at room 43.
Cool beans.
Right down the street from Norm's Bistro. And so there's going to be a whole lot of fun that night. And so we thought we'd give away some tickets.
So how many tickets are we saying per se?
well, we're giving away 2 pair right now.
4 tickets.
So 2 pair. I'm just checking my math. 2 pair. So there's 4 tickets, right? I'm just checking.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and the cost of the tickets, the value of them are $30 a piece. So that's a pretty good deal.
I like that for a movie. And I've heard so much.
Free is the best price.
And that's what I'm talking about. I heard so much about this movie. You guys were actually here in the studio. You, Alvin, you guys were actually in the studio with me about 2-3 weeks ago. and we were talking about the movie, and we're prepping for this big event coming up on May 26th.
May 26th, Saturday at the Studio Movie Grill Theater, right off the Dan Ryan, 210 West 87th Street.
So that's 87th and Dan Ryan on the south side of Chicago?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, south side.
I like it. I like it. So how do I get to pick the people I get the tickets to? Because or do we have a raffle on City Chicago, the fan page, or do I wait a minute? Got two pair? One, two, 3, 4. I'm counting right now. I got 4. Wait. You see these beautiful ladies we got in the studio with me right now? Now, I don't know DK, Daryl Kimbrough, but I don't know. I might be apt to pass these tickets on to these lovely ladies and go from there. I just might be apt. That might. Did I say that right too? Cool. We got a college professor here. I got to make sure. Check it out. Lynn. Yeah. So I'm just checking. So Lynn, what do you think? How do we should handle these tickets? How many think we should handle these tickets, Lynn?
I think we should go.
You think you should go?
Yeah.
I think we should all go.
We should all go.
I'll peel the top off the V12, man, and we might all show up, and we just have a good time at the movie theater. But what I like to do here is, in addition to that, because I'm thinking about donating for my lovely sponsor, Ramona Thomas at My Chocolate Soul, 4442 North Broadway. With this VIP package, I'm just thinking, I might be able to throw in some chocolate, some carrot cakes, and some stuff like that, and we can give some of that stuff away to the VIP people, in addition to the people, the cast, and all that other cool stuff. What do you think about that, Gerald?
Sounds good to me, man. Let's make it happen.
So how do we get a hand on these tickets, man, before I promise these lovely ladies, because $30 times 4, I can't afford that, man. That's $120. I might not be able to come in. I just have to pay for them to come. Talk to me.
I mean, I can stop in. I'll stop in and drop them off to you guys.
Are you outside?
I'm not outside right now.
Okay, cool beans. Well, as long as we know we can get the tickets, as long as I know May 26th is the event, what time does the red carpet event start?
It starts at 5:30, and we'll be there. We'll be on the carpet and taking pictures from 5:30 to 6:30. And from 6:30 to 9, we're going to be going into the theater, and the show will end at 9.
Okay, so we're gonna have so I want to make sure I got that. At 5:30, we're gonna have this VIP red carpet photo op with the actors and all that other cool stuff, some light bites and some cocktails and some like nice, swank, cool music. I got that. And then from 6 to 9, you're telling me we're gonna get a chance to watch the movie, and the movie's going and all that other cool stuff. Then there's an after party at room 43.
Yeah.
What you talking about, Willis? Keep going. So all I'm saying is, I like the way that sounds. May 26th, 210 West 87th Street. We got VIP tickets for two pairs for 4 lucky people to hang out with Daryl Kimbrough, Alvin Smith, and a cast of characters over at, what's the name of the movie? I want you to plug it. Can't nobody plug it better than you.
The name of the movie is Fortunate, baby.
And I'm fortunate to have. Oh, I can't sing. I'm sorry. I tried. That's just a little bit beyond my scope. But my good friend Daryl Kimbrough, I want to say thank you for coming in. If you want to stay on the line and listen in for the rest of this, and you want to chime in when you want to chime in, because they've been beating me up. I got these 4 ladies beating me up. I'm the only guy in the studio. Got it. Right. Okay. Cool beans. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna pass the mic to Stephanie Bay. Stephanie Bay, in closing, you had a question you want to ask the host, and with Lynn, we'll do that up. Give me a time. And we'll go from there.
That host, this host.
Ask the host.
Ask the host. Okay. Well,
the most handsome guy in the room. On this side of the camera.
How do you maintain your sense of humor and positivity?
Oh,
That's
wow.
what I want to know.
Wow. Well, I tell you, I mean,
chocolate.
That
give me a hug. There it is. Give me a hug. I love it. See, I
She
might have to
answered.
marry this woman.
Yeah.
See, chocolate and all that other cool stuff. Well, I'll tell you, I've been very, very blessed as a child. And I had some amazing parents One was an educator, and one of them, the other one did something else. Nothing special. We'll talk about that later. We'll play two. But anyway, having said that, they taught me as a child, and I look at this, and I'm gonna put an equation on the board. 1 times 7 equals 9. 1 times 8 equals 8. 1 times 10 equals 10. I learned that, if you say 1 times 1 equals 1, 1 times 2 equals 2, and so on and so forth. And the one thing that 1 times 7 equals 8, the one thing you see is the one negative thing, the one blemish. Why talk about the blemish? Let's talk about the other upward of 90% of the great things that have happened that are still continuing to happen in our lifestyle. And that's how I live my life. I've never, even when it rains, I sing in the rain, and I dance sometimes too. But that's how, and my amazing children, Jackson, Kennedy, and Reagan. Anybody figure that out yet? Jackson, Kennedy, Reagan. Anybody figure that out?
Yep, we figured it.
Cool. And my kids, and being a full-time father has been one of the most amazing things ever in my entire life. And having beautiful friends such as yourself, Stephanie Bank. Hi, Richard. And shout out to Richard. We got to do dinner again, guys, sometime soon. And having you lovely people in my life like you guys, in spite of all the stuff that comes at me, trust me, a lot comes at me. I just do what I do and go from there.
Well, if it rains, you put a raincoat on.
That's my girl.
That's what you do.
That's my girl. That's what I'm talking about. See, me and Von's have been hanging out for 3-4 years, close to 4 years now, and we got that kind of cool stuff. Michael, you got a question for Ask the Host DL?
Well, what we ask a lot of times from a forward perspective is, what was a time in your life when you had faced adversity, and how did you overcome that?
On the football field or in life?
I would say either, whatever is the most that caused change for you, because I feel like that's a way that we can, take what Vondana said, which is what's next.
I like that question.
Okay, let's see what happened and how that was a catalyst for how you got to where you are today, and how people can use that as a kind of jumping block for themselves.
Let me tell you a story. All right, let me tell you a story. 2 minutes? I got to make it a quick story. I'm sorry. 3 minutes or 2 minutes, Earl? 3? Okay. Make a quick story. Around this time, as I was growing up, I grew up in a household that I had some pretty prominent and prevalent parents. And I never really truly as a child knew why people wanted to be around me. I thought I was this amazing kid. Little did I know that my mom being a wealthy graduated rooming with Hillary Clinton way back in the day, and I think I told you that story. Mm-hmm. You knew that. My dad doing what he did for like 70,000 years on Addison Street. I mean, those kind of cool things. I mean, the reality here is this, and I want to be really clear. It took a lot. I mean, in this time last year, I was probably flanked with the biggest, and it's almost a year to the date. A year and like maybe 14 days to the date. I kind of lost myself, and and I'll be frank and honest with you. I kind of lost myself, and I got involved with some folks that I shouldn't have got involved with, and one of the biggest things I'll never ever make the mistake of doing is dating somebody and doing business with them ever again. Worst mistake I ever made. It's pretty funny. It can get you on the news. Anyway, having said that, the funny thing about that here is, and having a brother that kind of looks like me, it's kind of cool. A lot of people don't know that.
You got twins?
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
We got the same birthday. I didn't say that. Dude, don't get mad at me. That kind of cool stuff. And growing up in the environment that I grew up in, I mean, I've always grew up in a positive environment. Even when my mom was rapping my knuckles with that ruler, and I think they should bring back to school. I don't care what nobody say. Wrap them knuckles, and you'll straighten out.
Between Trump and the knuckles, he's in big trouble today.
That kind of cool stuff, and and some people ask me, everybody mistakes me and my brother, but I'm right-handed, he's left-handed. Never forget that, because there's times maybe that you've gone out to dinner. And this guy, and I will leave it at that. So having said that, don't get mad at me. Having said that, young lady, I want to give much respect, much love to iHeartRadio, our sponsors, My Chocolate Soul. And I think everybody, we should all have a piece of chocolate together now to celebrate, to celebrate diversity, to celebrate entrepreneurship, and celebrate women on the rise.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you all for joining in and have some chocolate. Toast. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
To My Chocolate Soul. Thank you so much. Tune in next week on the Scene with DL, 4 p.m. Same bat time, same bat station. And in closing, I know y'all gonna get mad at me. King Kong ain't got nothing on me. We out of here, Chicago. Thanks so much.